the loopback address on port 1100. We're using this one for authentication type. And what that means is I can put a link to our documentation on COM API. I'm getting all this from our documentation, but for time's sake, I'm not going to like go into the deep. I guess I could, but I'm not going to go into the depths of what this is. I'm just going to explain it. So we're basically just connecting using a local admin account. As long as you're a local admin on the server, you can connect in. So that's what this is. The one means you can use a local Windows admin account, log in, and authenticate. You can change it to EFT-based authentication. We have Active Directory. We have all different types of authentication. But this goes back to ease of use. So if I'm working with a client, I don't want to know what we don't want to have to plug in all these values. We just want to say, hey, are you a local admin on the server? Most most of the people we're working with, they're going to be. Um, so you're a local admin on the server. Great, the script is going to work. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to add any additional values in. We don't have to change things. That's why I'm keeping it like that. Okay, so anyways, onwards. So we have now connected in, verified that that's working. We want to now drill into this EFT object and find our auditing and reporting module. Second here. So what I'm doing here, and I highly recommend using write output. It writes the output of these variables to your console, so you can tell whether or not you're picking up those values. So like if you look here, I just I ran a play. Um, I pressed green arrow to run the script, and I can see it's writing the output of this EFT object. Shows all these different objects. And another notable thing about this, and something I really like about PowerShell, is after you run after you run this command to like activate the EFT variable or the EFT object rather, you can do a dot here and you can drill into any of these values. So like all of these, like let's do ARM connection status. This should be false. It's disconnected. So if you look at our console, here's enable auditing and reporting. That's our ARM module. Connection status, it's currently in an error status. So what we want to do is we want to get this to swap off. So how do we do that? So if we go back to our values here and scroll up, we can see enable ARM. I don't know if you guys saw that. Enable ARM right here is set to true. So we need to set that to false. So let's do a dot here and look through our available methods. So the methods, the things in PowerShell are like in a COM based API. This is another thing I like about COM. I know it's not as popular nowadays, but it has these like if you see this purple square here, these are all the methods. So these are all things where you can change something. These document looking icons, those display something. So you can display information to the console. these purple ones, you can actually do something. Um, so let's see if there's an enable arm. I may actually have to look at the documentation for this. Arm reconnect. Let me put an arm. So it's a Boolean, and you can get and you can set it. So let me, as I remember, there's something, uh, I believe there's like a value. Let me look at the documentation because that's the best thing to do. And I don't pretend to be one of these people. I don't think really any developers um, pretend to know everything. The thing about being like a good developer or someone who scripts very well is when you don't know something, going out and finding it. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I know where this information is. So I'm gonna do com API global escape documentation. So we have a very good set of documentation. All right, so let's go here. This is not it. I believe this is it. Yep. So here we go. I will put a link to this in the chat as well if you're interested in that. Um, so going into the application documentation, and we're gonna go. We have our script examples here. Um, what I want to look at is the list of objects, and what I want to go into is our server level objects here. So we're going to go into our server interface. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do Control F, and I'm going to do enable, and here we go. Enable or disable, well, enable. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. As I remember, so it's saying the set state here. So it's saying do something like this. Do EFT dash enable arm equals false. And that's how you do Booleans in PowerShell, like a true or false, with the money sign in front of it. But as I remember, and I can run this, but as I remember, this only sets the state. You have to do another thing to actually make it permanent. So let's check our console here, see if that updated. Oh, that actually did it. So if you look here, um, yeah, it's disabled. If I turn this to true, it was a lot easier than I thought it was. Turn this to true, and let's do a refresh here. It's now enabled. So there you go. So do false. So here we go. So this, there you go. I mean, this is basically the type of script, like a no frills type of script that I would give um to like a client or something. Uh, you can definitely add to this. You can add like I mean with scripting, like you could add parameters. I've done that in previous scripts where like you add a parameter for say like authentication type to use a different type of authentication like AD or global scape. That's definitely something you can do. Replace these values with parameters. Another thing you can do, you can add a parameter for like a true false, and that would just make it so that like when you're running it from the command line, you would do like script dot ps1, and then you would have like enable arm equals true or something like that. Um, it's definitely something you can do. Uh, but I think, and this is a very simple script. I'll actually comment this out because we don't need this. But yeah, I mean this is like the basics of scripting, a very simple script. You can get way more complicated, obviously. But but yeah, a lot of times with scripting, what I've noticed is you don't have to make the most complicated script in the world a lot of the times. Just doing some simple scripts like this is a few lines. Just doing something like that can solve a really big issue, or just automating something very simple can solve a lot of issues. I think the more important thing with scripting is actually looking at is actually the way you are looking at the issue. Like if you're constantly looking at things with this toolbox in your head, um, of like, well, I can automate that, I can put a for loop here and automate that, I can do. I think that's the more important thing is like thinking with a problem solving type of perspective than it is writing a very complicated script. I mean, you can obviously do that as well, but yeah, there's my video. And you can go ahead and save this somewhere. And like for my example, I would save this to like one of my drives and give it to a client if they were experiencing that type of issue. Um, but yeah, there's my video on PowerShell, and I hope you guys have a nice day.